First, let's talk about Pakistan-United States relations. And it's very good news. There are many positive developments. And after years of turbulence, we have recalibrated our relations and we are on a positive trajectory. This is good news for Pakistan. I think this is good news for the United States of America. There's something that people are not talking about is that Pakistan has also developed an independent dimension, independent of India, because it was always, India always were very neuralgic about being re-hyphenated with Pakistan, but this time we have not been hyphenated with India, and still we have a standalone relationship with the United States of America without reference to India. So this is a big achievement. This hurts India grievously. As a matter of fact, they had this hubris that they had become a superpower and that they were competitors of the Russian Federation, China, and the United States all put together. And they had dwarfed Pakistan in the strategic calculus. And these theories are being proved wrong by the developments that are taking place. The other thing is that India's myopia about its neighborhood and its global worldview is also being now exposed. So what is happening right now is that Pakistan is galloping ahead diplomatically. It defeated India militarily. And Pakistan's narrative was accepted all around the world, not just by us Pakistanis, but by independent observers and analysts and main networks, also social media community. What are they called? They are called netizens. So netizens have endorsed Pakistan's version of the war and the diplomacy that it has conducted since then. I'll give you one instance. After the end of the war, after the ceasefire, Pakistan had the decency to thank the United States of America that you did a good job because this war could have turned nasty. But India refused to acknowledge the mediatory role that the United States, Marco Rubio, President Trump, J.D. Vance had played, point blank. And so this didn't go well in Washington, D.C. Well, there's a shift, of course, but I'm not sure whether it is temporary or whether it's permanent, because India is a big country in its own right, and it has had very good relations with the United States of America. It still continues to have good relations with Washington. So I hope we are not expressing our optimism a bit too soon. But at the same, that said, India has been playing on multiple fronts duplicitously. For instance, it pretended to be a leader of the global south, but at the same time, it declared to be the strongest and staunchest ally of the United States of America. At the same time, it said that it was closest to the Russian Federation and it was investing in trade and investment with China. So I think that India has been exposed for the time being. This double dealing, this kind of multiple front diplomacy, which didn't gel together. But I think that in the global south, one thing that one must highlight is that it was trying to construct an alternative world order, challenging the United States primacy and leadership. For instance, it was a champion for introducing a currency which would substitute dollar. It was also a strong supporter of the new development bank, and it wanted to create, with the help of the developing countries, global south, a new international financial system, new international financial institutions and monetary institutions. So the United States, over the years, especially during the Biden administration, detected the duplicity and they wanted to call out India. They didn't have the courage to do so because they were the rationalizers and defenders of India because they had inducted India into Quad and they had projected India as the net security provider in the Indo-Pacific region. But I think that President Trump had the courage, his team had the courage to call out India, not only in terms of tariffs, but also in other areas, because they came to know that during the Ukraine war, India did not side with the United States. What it did was that it bought cheap oil and gas from Russian Federation and sold it at high profits in the international markets. Well, this is a very important question. I'll tell you that India has lost its clout in its neighborhood. I mean, of course, it has strained relations with Pakistan, and we defeated India definitively and conclusively in the May War, and that is self-evident. But none of the neighbors, whether it was Sri Lanka, Nepal, or Bangladesh, or any other country in the region, sided with India. There wasn't even a whisper of support for India. So it's isolated, basically. And India is isolated not only in the region, but also internally. I mean, I'm talking about the Modi government because it has been criticized by the former Interior Minister Chidambaram. Also, there are many voices within Russia, Swayamsevak Sangh, and the BJP. They're questioning the legality and justifiability of the aggression it had imposed on India and the results that were achieved or not achieved. And also, opposition parties are up in arms against Narendra Modi's judgment and actions that he took. So this is internal India and its periphery. Now, since it has been in a sense, abandoned, deserted, and humiliated by the United States of America. Jaishankar, their foreign minister, went running to Beijing, met their vice president, Han Chang, and submitted an apology for all the hostility that it has demonstrated against China for years. And the handouts and the editorials that came out in China Daily or Global Times, they gave the impression of the two countries getting together, two Asian giants. I mean, and they said that they do not believe in any binary choices, no bloc politics. I mean, the kind of language that Pakistan uses normally. So, and they want to hide now behind China or Russian Federation or an alliance of these three countries so that they can resist burgeoning United States influence in the region. So this is what they're trying to do. In Washington, this is most tragic for India because Indian Americans are very influential in the United States of America, and many of them, including Kash Patel, I can count many others, who are in key cabinet positions in the United States of America. And yet they could not salvage the damage that has been done to them. So I would say that they are in a state of confusion, and they used to call it strategic autonomy. They are right now in strategic wilderness. Well, again, very important points, and I'd like to say that you see, for years, I mean, since 1998, we've been advocating for strategic restraint regime in South Asia. And that has three constituents. First is that there should be nuclear restraint, that we should not attack each other's nuclear installations, or we should not indulge in nuclear escalation. Second is that there should be conventional balance or conventional proportionality. I mean, India should not acquire these huge arsenals and platforms in the conventional realm, which would ultimately be used against Pakistan because their military orientation, deployment orientation is against Pakistan. And the third is conflict resolution. So I think maybe we can revive that proposal for strategic stability in South Asia. When I was in Washington until last year, I used to talk to the American interlocutors and appeal to them that, for God's sake, restore strategic balance in South Asia. So that could also happen. Finally, I think that the recent announcement that have come out of Washington after our finance minister's meeting with his counterparts when we're negotiating tariffs, they have also talked about exploration of oil, and they have acknowledged that there are huge reserves of oil and gas in Pakistan because this region, Pakistan, is very close to the Gulf region and Balochistan and Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Sindh. They're rich, and our coastal line is very rich in natural resources, including fossil fuels. So if and add to that these critical minerals, like you have lithium and rare earth elements, and add to that copper. These are very important for semiconductor industries, which are crucial for the survival and growth of American economy. So I think that if America can act, and our allies in the Gulf region, China, of course, because of the China-Pakistan economic corridor, and the Western countries, if they invest heavily in Pakistan, we can become the Japan of the world. Like Japan has a very small population, very small territory, but they are the third or fourth economy in the world. Pakistani people are talented, and we are the most consequential and most important country in West Asia. We can't be ignored because of the population, because of the young population that we have, because of the talent that we are producing. As a matter of fact, I mean, the number of tech-savvy people is increasing. We have digitization of our economy. Every citizen in Pakistan is experiencing digitization. So let's emerge as one of the strongest nations militarily and economically in the community of nations. You see, some of their figures have been fake, as a matter of fact. I mean, it's an elitist society. They have been um, investing in plutarchy, pampering the rich. And then they, of course, hired the media. It's called Godi media. And they have been broadcasting false narratives, uh, which came into stark contrast during the May War, because they were warmongers, but they were also rumor mongers, and this was they were exposed to the entire international communication ecosystem. So, and then there are many contradictions, as a matter of fact. So there was an economic miracle. But it has not trickled down to the people. It's a capitalist society. It's an elitist society. Hundreds of millions of Indians go without meals. They defecate openly. I'm sorry to say that, but it's a pathetic situation. So they've been selling a lie to the rest of the world. Of course, they have military arsenals. So it's a kind of a war economy. And war against whom? It is war against Pakistan, it is war against Kashmiris, it is war against their minorities. And on top of that, they have Hindutva doctrine, which hates Muslims and Christians and other minorities. And they hate Hindus also, Dalits particularly, who are on the lowest rung of Hinduism. So I would say that this experiment, this economic experiment, which has done well for them, I mean, despite their exaggerations from time to time, this is exceeding, but this can't survive. This is not sustainable, given the hatred that they are generating. I'm talking about the BJP and Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. Well, this is a very important question. Would we be able to balance our relationship both with China and the United States? And my answer is yes, an affirmative yes, we would be able to do it. The number of reasons. One, we have experience of about 60 years to manage the relations between the two countries. And we have very strong, steadfast relations with China. And we've had very strong ties with the United States of America. With the United States of America, our strongest period was in the 1950s. But even after that, we had peaks and troughs. So there were peaks. For instance, in the 60s, there was a peak. And then in the 90s, there was a peak. In the early 2000s, we had a peak. We've had rough times, but we resolved those problems. We came back to each other. So I would say that following the United States withdrawal from Afghanistan in August 2021, there was this lukewarm period in our relations when we were trying to figure out how to reset our relationship. And now we succeeded in resetting that relationship. Would China be resentful of our proximity, our warming relations with the United States of America? My answer is no. I served as Pakistan's ambassador to to Beijing, to the People's Republic of China, and I lived there for 8 years. And I can tell you, I studied the Chinese language. So what I can say is that China is a big country, is a large-hearted country, is a country which looks not only at decades, but also at centuries. And they're basically preparing for year 2049, when they would be completing 100 years, 100 very successful years of independence. And they have gained so much wealth. Pakistan is one of their partners, strategic partners. We have strategic cooperative partnership. And in fact, it would be their considered judgment that United States and Pakistan should not have turbulent relations. And our burgeoning trade ties with the United States are not going to impact overall global trade, because our trade with both the countries is infinitesimally small compared to the entire volume of United States-China trade. And those two countries are also negotiating with each other to resolve their tariff problem. They have already resolved it, and I think that they are on an even keel right now. So I think that for our growing relationship with the United States is not going to disrupt our relationship with China. There are a number of reasons, and I want to enumerate them. United States, no, China at the moment is our defense lifeline. They give us submarines and missiles and aircraft, fighter aircraft, and also advanced missiles. Did I mention them? Also, we manufacture JF-17 here. So we do these joint defense training programs, military programs, and exercises. They are also an economic lifeline because of the China economic corridor, Pakistan-China economic corridor. So I think that this would not create any strain. It may, if our leaders are not astute and they do not handle these relationships nimbly and cleverly. Well, as I use the word duplicitous. They are duplicitous about their commitment to Quad and to BRICS. Now, Quad They were not invited for military exercises that were held in the recent past, so they've been excluded. I would say that Quad should be basically an Anglo-Saxon dominated club, although Japan is there too. But then you have AUKUS, and India is not part of AUKUS. And BRICS, when uh, Trump roared and said, made a threatening statement that anybody who talks about an alternative currency, an alternate currency is my enemy, is the United States enemy. India backed out. India said, we have nothing to do with it. But their disclaimer was not taken seriously in Washington, D.C. They are not trusted leaders or partners or stakeholders in Global South. So, and they're the ones who've been blocking growth of SARC as a regional organization. So I think that their position has been weakened. We mustn't underestimate them. Although, I mean, the strategy that was laid out by these extremist leaders who formed the nucleus of the BJP and RSS, it has run its full circle, and it has kind of delivered the products that they wanted to, of hatred, of alienation, and now what they're facing is, I think this is their bad karma, that they're facing international isolation.